never surfed in the winter because all they had were short johns. We all went out and bought these big, thick dive suits.
I had one, an orange one in March. freezing.
And you'd go out there and it'd put these big welts all over your body, remember?
Terrible, yes.
Rashes. You remember Gunsy? That's where I rented the first surfboard I rented. He had these big, thick things. He had a bunch of boards down under the boardwalk there. When I first started surfing, the first person I ever saw surfing was Danny Hurley at like 15th Street. He was out, it was like 1962 or 3. And I had to go rent a surfboard right then when I saw those guys. And then he moved to California. And later in life, I had gone to Florida for Easter break in like 1964 or 5 and run into Danny Hurley at Cocoa Beach at the East Coast Surfing Championships. And he's with Rodney Sumter from Great Britain, and he had just won the World Championships. And we did a trip from Florida up to Salisbury, Maryland, where Danny grew up, and we had the greatest time. And
once we got through the first year of surfing, then the Johnson brothers showed up from New Jersey, Al, Carl, and Skill.
I remember.
Skill, the voice of the North Shore. And I became fast friends with Al Johnson, and we would paddle across the inlet all the time over to Assateague to surf at the wedge. And of course the Johnson boys were very, very good surfers.
Their mom used to cook for us and let us hang out.
And I was going
there.
to the University of Maryland, and Al was roommate with me, and we would hitchhike down here so that we could go surfing on the weekends.
And Rick Walker was there then, and then later John Phillips sort of hung out with us.
Right. And then there was a guy, Todd Corbin. He finally went in the Air Force. He was a very thin-built guy. He was around, you probably don't remember him. And he hung out down around the inlet a lot, and then he moved to Hawaii, and I actually stop by and see him when I'm out in Hawaii.
Do you really?
In the winter. Yeah, he lives up on the side of the hill. He doesn't surf anymore, but it's just good to sit down and talk with a guy that was here either the first or second year the surfing got started here. Your wife was best friends with all those girls and hung out with them.
They were
the whole crowd. We couldn't wait for the girls to come up from Cocoa because that was the beginning of the summer. There was Kathy White, Roxy from Roxana, Elaine.
Her name was Atmel. She married Tommy
Elaine
Moss.
Atwell, right.
I introduced her to him, and he worked for me when I first opened my shop. Well, he learned to make surfboards in California with Overland, stayed there for years, and then came back to the East Coast. And now he shapes for Donald Takayama in California. He's a really good shaper. And he stayed out there and made surfboards. And to this day, now he's the only guy that shapes Donald Takayama surfboards in this country.
I would like
He's
to
a
speak
master shaper.
Wow.
And he did all the driftwood surfboards in Florida.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Elaine and he have been married ever since then. And we were like best friends, Mary and I and those two.
I'd like to catch up with those girls because they made the surfing summer, and they were truly surfing chicks. You know,
yeah,
they were the first real. I mean, everybody wants to get on the bandwagon and be a surfer chick now, but back then there couldn't have been 6 or 8 of them at the most.
Dana Smith,
right?
Hung out with them. I think in the early years, what was really instrumental was meeting a lot of guys here whose parents had been in the service, and they'd been in Hawaii, and now they were stationed back here.
Don Graham was at Dover. Right.
They taught us a lot about surfing.
Oh, guys!
Dana Nicely, Thumper Miller,
Dana Nicely, and
Jim White.
You have boys, or you have a son rather, and you're surfing with him, and that's just terrific.
My older son used to bodyboard with Jay Reel. And they did bodyboard camps at Bombers Surf Shop. And I left out Bombers. BB Bombers was Jack Crosby on 8th Street. My oldest boy, who's 33 now, he and Jay Reel were good friends. And Chad Hopkins, they really got into bodyboarding, and they had bodyboard camps. Jay would teach people, and they were in the East Coast Championships. And Jay went on to become a pro.
Right.
But bodyboarding has really helped surfing too. It gets the kids into the...
It gets them into the wave, and you learn your wave knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost advise anybody before they learn to surf is go bodyboarding.
Yeah. Or lay down and ride the wave on a surfboard.
Yes.
You get the feel of the turning it.
Yep. Yeah, you do, for sure. But, you know, we're talking about people who are instrumental in surfing, and this has nothing to do with Ocean City. But I'll tell you somebody that I was so impressed with. For Christmas, my good surfing buddy, Keith Campbell, who's my age, gave me a book written by Doc Paskowitz, the surfing doctor.
He's like
Dorian
75 or something?
He's about 83, Doc Paskowitz.
And he still surfs.
And up to this past winter. But anyway, I made a point to go meet him.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I read his book on the airplane on the way out there. And he talks about how healthful, surfing for health, I can't quite recall the title of his book, it's something like Surfing for Health. And it is a spectacular book. I mean, it is just the essence of surfing and the essence of surfing and health. So anyway, I called him up cold, and he said yes, he'd meet me. We sat down on the beach, we talked for about 2 hours. That was 1 year. Then I went back again, and this year I called him up. He was very busy with his schedule. But there's a guy that's not only through the years has contributed a lot, and he doesn't charge for his services, but he's still contributing. He sat down and he counseled me, and we talked about surfing, and it's just absolutely crushing his heart that for the first time he can't get up. He's got a bad hip problem now. He can't get up on the surfboard, and he said, I was feeling sorry for myself, but then he said, I got over it. Now I don't feel sorry for myself. He said, but at least I can paddle the board and get up, my shoulders up, and
kind of like
and
Bill
ride the board.
Wise, our friend. You know, and it's amazing how much he's kept in touch with us over the years in surfing. And
yes, it is.
You know?
Yes, it is. But I mean, I just really admire somebody like Doc Paskowitz, who has great philosophy, wrote a terrific book, still making a contribution, and he may yet still be surfing the waves in Waikiki when he gets over this hip injury.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Keith
well,
and
it keeps you young, surfing, I think.
Keith, I called him up. I invited him to dinner, and he and his wife. And he said, out to dinner? And I said, yes, because he's very conscious about what he eats. He said, I don't eat the garbage that's served in restaurants. And he was very abrupt about it. And I said, well, I was going to take you to the Outrigger Canoe Club. He said, the Outrigger Canoe Club? He said, I'll eat garbage to go to the Outrigger Canoe Club. So he and his wife is just delightful.
I think we've all done that over the years. That's an important point, is you kind of arrange your life around surfing. Your job, the hours you work.
Yes, I sincerely believe
travel.
That had I not been a surfer, I'd probably be a wealthy guy these days.
Yeah.